Ever get this, like, creepy feeling? It's like someone hit fast forward on the world and things are changing so fast you can barely keep up.
Yeah, totally. Like trying to assemble a bookshelf while the instructions keep morphing in front of your eyes.
Exactly. And in a world swimming with information, how do we even know what's real anymore?
Well, that's what we're diving into today, figuring out how to see through the noise with a little help from two heavy hitters, George Orwell and Carl Jung.
And don't worry, you don't need to be a literary scholar to follow along. Whether you've read every word these guys have written or just know them by reputation, this deep dive is going to be eye-opening.
Totally agree. They offer these timeless insights into how the world works, both out there and inside our own heads.
I mean, take Orwell. Most people think 1984, Big Brother, that whole dystopian future thing.
Right, and it's easy to dismiss it as fiction.
But it's scary how relevant some of his ideas feel right now, like newspeak, the idea that if you control language, you control thought.
And Orwell wasn't just making this stuff up. He saw the dangers of propaganda and twisted truth firsthand.
Oh, right. He was a journalist during the Spanish Civil War, wasn't he?
Exactly. He saw how easily facts could be spun, narratives manipulated to fit a certain agenda. That experience really shaped his worldview.
Wow, so not just some ivory tower intellectual then, a guy on the ground seeing how easily truth could be used as a weapon.
Absolutely. And that's what makes 1984 so chilling. It's not just a futuristic fantasy. It's a warning about what happens when we become complacent, when we let others control the information we consume.
And if we don't have the words, can we even think the thoughts? That's messed up.
It's insidious, right? Because it's not always about outright lies.
Yeah.
It's the subtle stuff, the framing, the omissions that could be even more powerful. Like you said, if you can't even think certain thoughts because the language doesn't exist.
You're trapped.
Exactly. And in a world of information overload, social media bubbles, it's scarier than ever.
It's like Orwell could see the future, and it's not so far off from where we are now.
And the thing is, it's not just external forces we have to worry about. This is where Jung comes in with this fascinating, kind of scary concept of the shadow. It's like, what if the biggest threat to our freedom isn't Big Brother?
But something inside us. Okay, now you've got me hooked. Okay, so Orwell's got us looking over our shoulders for Big Brother, but Jung's saying, hold on, there might be something even sneakier lurking around.
Right. It's like, what if the biggest threats to our freedom, to seeing the world clearly, aren't always coming from some outside force? What if they're coming from inside the house?
Okay, now you're just messing with me. We're not about to go full horror movie, are we? What's lurking in the basement this time?
Well, Jung called it the shadow. And it's not about monsters under the bed. It's about those parts of ourselves we try to hide.
Like, everyone's got those, right? Those little quirks you don't advertise on a first date.
Sure, but it goes deeper than that. The shadow is the stuff we bury deep down, the insecurities, the not-so-pretty desires, the thoughts and impulses we consider unacceptable.
The stuff we'd be mortified if anyone found out about, even ourselves sometimes.
Exactly. And the thing about the shadow, Jung said, is that it doesn't just disappear because we ignore it.
Oh no, I've learned that the hard way. Ignore a problem long enough and it tends to explode.
And usually at the worst possible moment, Jung believed that the shadow can actually distort our perception of reality.
Like, how's that even work? Give me an example.
Think about those times you get irrationally angry at someone for something seemingly small. Chances are it's not really about that thing. It's about something deeper they've triggered in you, something you maybe haven't even acknowledged in yourself.
So it's like that thing we hate in others, maybe it's something we're secretly afraid of in ourselves.
Bingo. We project our own unacknowledged stuff onto others. It's way easier to judge someone else for being selfish or insecure or whatever it may be than to face those qualities in ourselves.
So all this time, I thought I was just surrounded by jerks. But maybe it's me.
Hey, I'm not saying every annoying person you meet is your shadow's fault, but acknowledging those dark corners within ourselves can definitely shift our perspective. It's not about self-blame. It's about self-awareness.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we shine a light on the stuff we've spent our whole lives shoving into the dark? So we've got Orwell warning us about thought control from the outside, Jung saying, hey, watch out for the thought control happening inside your own head. How do we navigate a world where the truth can be spun from so many angles, both internal and external?
It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in the Hall of Mirrors, right? But I think the key takeaway here, the thing that connects both Orwell and Jung, is the importance of awareness.
Okay, but how do we actually become more aware? Like, is there a meditation app for that? Kidding. But seriously, where do we even start?
Well, for starters, we can learn from Orwell's journalist background. Be skeptical. Don't just passively absorb information. especially in this age of instant news and social media feeds. Question everything.
Easier said than done, right? It's like we're drowning in information these days.
Exactly. So be picky about your sources. Who are they? What's their agenda? Are they presenting a balanced perspective or just trying to sell you something? And this applies to the news we read, the podcasts we listen to, even the conversations we have with friends and family.
So it's about thinking critically about everything we're taking in.
Exactly. And here's where Jung comes in. That same critical thinking, we need to turn it inward as well.
You mean question our own thoughts and beliefs?
Yep. Notice those knee-jerk reactions, the judgments, the things that trigger us. Instead of just reacting, hit the pause button and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What's really going on here? Chances are your shadow's trying to tell you something.
So more self-reflection, less reaction.
Exactly. It's not about beating ourselves up for having a shadow side. We all do. It's about bringing those hidden parts into the light of awareness so they don't control us from the shadows.
That's pretty powerful stuff. So if our listener could take away just one thing from this whole deep dive, what would it be?
The real battle for freedom, for a clear mind and a clear vision of the world, starts within. Confront your shadow. Question everything. And remember, it's an ongoing process, not a destination.
I love that. It's like we're all works in progress, always learning, always evolving. Well, that's a wrap on another deep dive. We hope this inspires you to take a closer look at the forces shaping your reality both inside and out. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deeper.